I think it's important that kids grow up understanding it doesn't land in front of you. You have to be prepared for the pitfalls that will definitely happen along the way.
Throughout my career, I've met and been inspired by some incredible women in business, one being yourself. And just really, I feel like I've got where I am today just with the inspiration from others and support and throughout the journey and probably the push that I probably needed in some roles. And I think now having a daughter, just showing the next generation that it is achievable, success is definitely achievable. And diversity in business is obviously essential now. And we're all growing, we're all human, and we're all, just supporting each other along the way. So I wanted to capture that really in like a podcast video kind of format. So obviously, I know you, Simone, from past when we used to work at RBS together, but do you want to just introduce yourself and what your job role is and what you kind of do now?
Yeah, of course. So I'm Simone Fox, Director of Specialist Services for the Cooperative Bank. I've been in the finance industry for too many years, 28 years.
Oh, no.
But yeah, 28 years. I'm sure I'm not old enough, but clearly I am. And yeah, I grew up through retail banking. I worked for RBS Group for about 23 years before making the move over here to the Cooperative Bank. Wow. Doing a variety of different jobs, some that I anticipated I would do and others at the time, never realised I'd be able to get into those new roles, but yeah, done a range of different things over time.
Brilliant. Now, I don't know whether you remember this, but I do, because obviously this is where you inspired me, but when I first started at the bank, I was pushed into doing a service quality manager role. I remember were you the regional service quality manager? And you came round to Newcastle branch, and at that time you were really motivating, and I got kind of pushed into this job, and once you left, I was like, oh, I really like this job now. I want to do this job. So that's when I first met you, but you won't have known me back then. But then obviously I met you because I was a branch manager, and I was going like a fast track to area manager at the time before the kids came along. And I used to cover for the area manager, and obviously you were regional manager at the time, weren't you? So obviously we met, and there was, back in our days in RBS, there were so many great women leaders who went on to do amazing things as well. So I do think that back in the day at RBS is just like a great starting point.
Yeah, I think it did give a really great platform for many women, particularly with the journey that we were on. And there was real positive momentum behind it. So as you say, what you saw and your experience was similar to what I saw with other senior leaders at the time. Yeah. Joining the bank at 18 and not really sure where my career was going to go, but, at the time I was proud that I'd got a role within a bank. My mum and dad were proud that I'd got a role within a bank, and then you start to, see colleagues achieving, bigger things and being more responsible with greater scope, and it sort of teases you into wanting to explore a little bit more, doesn't it? And
absolutely.
That was the same for me with my career journey when I started too.
I know, and absolutely, and the same at 18 I started, and you just want to, they're inspiring, you're just like, I want to be them, I want to have a go at doing what they're doing, and and there was a lot of support, I think, in RBS at the time, and we did push each other along, which is a massive thing, and I think, and support, I remember working with Vicki, and I remember Mandy Beach actually being I was an area sales manager at the time, and she pushed me to do a branch manager role, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to do branch manager, it's not something I looked at, and it's the best move that I ever made. It's one of the most enjoyable jobs that I've actually done, so it's great. So brilliant. So what I'm going to do is just go into ask you some questions. So first of all is, looking back, did your career unfold as planned, or did it evolve more organically? You've just answered a little bit of that.
So probably answered a bit that way, yeah. So more organically. I started my career, in a branch on a counter, and exactly as we described, you start to see other role opportunities and how you can grow your role, and at the time at 18 earn more money. What you needed your cash for at that time was for different reasons, but you wanted an extra, save the money up to go on holiday with your girlfriends and all the rest. So it sort of starts to create a career path for you, and then you see what other people can achieve. And I think if you're a self-starter and you're a motivator and you're not just prepared to or wanting to wait for the next role to come up, but you're hungry to go and be inquisitive and curious, then the world's your oyster with what you can achieve.
Absolutely.
So, you know, definitely where I am now, I definitely didn't have it written on a piece of paper years ago and expecting to be working with such a fabulous team and being responsible for what we are collectively together.
Definitely. And it's pushing yourself out that comfort zone. It's wanting to get out the comfort zone, because we can all stay in jobs, can't we, and just be like, oh yeah, this is easy, I've got a note now. But it's just making that step. And I say this time and time again, someone told me once to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and I think that is the saying that you need to be if you want to progress, isn't it?
I think it's a really good saying that. You know, one of the things I say is be brave.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to say you don't know. Those are all things that have helped me along my career to be authentic and for people to be able to put the trust in me. So second guessing isn't a good idea. Filling the gaps when there's silence just to fill the gaps. And I do think, you know, being brave and being okay with being uncomfortable is really great advice for people that are sort of, you know, wanting to work out where they go next, but not having a defined career plan and all the tools already in the kit bag to take with them.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. And which female leaders have inspired you, and how did they influence and shape your goals?
In my early career, there was a lot of male leaders within the business that I was working in. And there were also some really great female leaders as well. So, you know, you've talked about Mandy Beach. Mandy and I were around in RBS at the same time. And Paula Flanagan was one of the regional managers at the time. And I became an area manager working for Paula. And then it was sort of, how do I get Paula's job?
Yeah,
and you start stepping up like that. So I think, you know, Paula was great. I should give her a call afterwards and check she was all right with me talking about her, actually. I'm sure she will be. But, you know, Paula was great. And also, it's a little bit different, but my mum, so she wasn't a leader, but she had 2 children. She had 2 stepchildren. Dad had got his own business that she worked in. And I saw the really good times of that and also the really difficult times and how resilient she could be.
Yeah.
And so for that taught me and built within my DNA the kind of person that I knew I wanted to be. And whilst that was in my home life, those things that she's taught me have taken me right through my career in a real sort of rudders with my moral compass as to where I will go and where I won't go and how I will call things out or hold ourselves to account to make sure that we're doing the right thing in the right way.
Love that. And obviously, I hope you don't mind me saying on it, you've obviously got a daughter. And is that something you're passionate about, her learning the same kind of route?
Yeah, definitely. So Mia's turning 17 in April. So
I remember her starting school, by the way, as well.
It's frightening. It goes so quick. So she's just done a GCSE. She's just going into her A-level. Well, she's halfway through her A-levels nearly now.
Wow.
And it's really important for Mia to find her own way, whilst being supported by her parents and her wider family. And I think between me, her dad, and Paul and Natalie, you know, we really try to encourage her to sort of find her own way.
Yeah.
But instilling within her to work hard, because you only get out what you put in.
100%.
There's been times in my past where it's torn at my heartstrings a bit, where you know, as a young school child should say, "Oh, mummy's on audio, shush," because that was, you know, in those days you didn't have video conference calls. You might be on a mobile, on audio, trying to pick your daughter up from school. I'm on audio, shush, and you know, there's been times where she's played that back at me. But actually, you know, whilst at times I thought, shoot, should I have been a little bit more present? Actually, she's seen what it takes in
100%.
terms of working hard, and what you put in is what you get out. And you know, she's done all right through her GCSEs, and she's had to be a self-starter because mum and dad are working full time.
Yeah.
And she's done well, and we're moving into A-levels now. So hopefully, you know, she's on the right tracks. But you know, I think it's important that kids grow up understanding it doesn't land in front of you. you have to be prepared for the pitfalls that will definitely happen along the way to build the resilience and to work hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And 100%. And I too have faced them kind of mum guilt feelings. And it is hard. And I always say as parents, we're learning, this journey is constantly like a treadmill of learning, because it's like you never know what the right answer is. But that is just so important to reflect and say, yeah, actually, I'm doing it because to be successful, and this is what you can achieve, to show it's good.
Exactly.
It's good to work.
And the good things that come with it, you know. So she is, you know, she's a lucky girl.
She is. And she's stunning, by the way. She's a lovely...
We all say that about our kids.
I know, yeah, we do. But she is beautiful, beautiful.
You.
But yeah, oh no, that's fabulous, fabulous. And then what drives you each day, and how do you stay motivated in this role, would you say?
So what drives me each day?
Holidays.
So holidays, yeah, you know I like a holiday.
Yeah, I like holidays.
Whether it's on an aeroplane or in a VW camper van now, since my husband decided we were getting one. I never thought I'd convert to that, but I definitely have.
Yeah, brilliant.
But, you know, what keeps me motivated is helping colleagues reach their full potential. I appreciate, and I'm very fortunate to be leading large teams, but it's not what about I achieve, it's it's about what they achieve. So that really gets me going every day, just, you know, working hard to help colleagues reach their full potential and delivering great outcomes as well. So, you know, business objectives and goals change and evolve over the years, but being really clear about what we're aiming to achieve and why we're aiming to achieve it, and bringing that vision to life, and using the network of colleagues that we have to help deliver that. I get real satisfaction out of that. Yeah. And working on the tough stuff, you know, I'm not afraid I won't walk past something, and we'll tackle those tough things. And it feels great when you've, you know, delivered a solution and you're in that problem solving mode, and you've cut through the tough stuff. So absolutely, that keeps me going.
And that's you as a great leader though, right? So people would walk past it, and I think this is again how you've been successful where you are. You don't walk past these things, you do tackle them on. Yeah. And I think obviously your staff see that as well, which is really important as a manager, because I know that I've had many managers over my time, but the ones that get stuck in and help you to solve these problems are the best. They are. Yeah. So I'm sure your staff will be saying the same thing about you. So
thank you.
Have you faced moments of self-doubt or this imposter syndrome, as we talk about? And how did you regain your confidence if you did?
Yeah, I mean, your confidence builds over the years, but I do remember when I took that first brave move out of retail banking into chief operating office, which, you know,
completely different.
In retail banking yourself, you know what it feels like moving from one discipline to another. And whilst I was very keen to explore the opportunity, it was very daunting and overwhelming. And not being a technical SME in that space, having really for 15 years before, if not more, being very fluent and probably knowing the answer to the question before the question's even been put to you. Yeah. It felt really scary. But I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I think saying you're not okay, or saying you don't know the answer to a question, for me, that's such a big piece of advice I could give to anybody, because, you know, Chris Davis, who was another great leader, who was our chief operating officer at the time, we had a conversation face to face, because I explained to him what was worrying me, or what I was anxious about in terms of the new role, building a new function for financial crime, which wasn't a sector of the industry that I'd worked in previously. And then Chris explaining to me the reasons why he felt I was the right person to do that. So it's not about being a technical SME necessarily all of the time, but it's about the leadership skills that you bring, the curiosity, the tenacity, you know, the persistence to keep going and ask those questions, and help corral a team of technical experts together to deliver whatever the vision is that we've got to deliver.
100%.
And that was a crystallising moment that helped teach me that it's not about being a technical SME all the time, and you don't need to know the lower level detail stuff being a leader. But it definitely kicked in that imposter syndrome. I can't do this. I've only ever done that. But, you know, being brave and talking it out, I think, can really help steer you on and get you back on the right track.
And we all can learn at the end of the day. Kind of the aspects, the leader aspect and the people person, that's in you. And I think the other kind of stuff we learn along the way, definitely. I mean, I've just taken a role at Map Room, and I've been used to banking all my life since I was 18, and I really did have this change curve kind of thoughts, and I was like, can I do this? And it was a real moment. But now I'm out the other side, I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I'm smashing it now. I'm like, do you know what I mean? And it's quite nice to be out that other side and knowing that we are human, and we can all learn, and it's just knowing that, really, isn't it, with change.
I think there's many of us as well, and you know, as mums, you're always questioning yourself as to, have you done the right thing all of the time? Could you have done something better? And it's like if you get a role profile, you probably tick through it and you focus on the things that you can't do. And if there's a couple of things on the role profile you can't do, then you can't do the job. And that's not the case at all. But I think sometimes our minds can be wired that unless you've put a tick next to everything, then maybe you've not got it, you know, boxed off.
I totally agree. I think we just like to be perfect at everything. Sometimes we're not.
We've got to accept we can't be. We're definitely not perfect.
Brilliant. And have you always felt supported by those around you, such as your family, friends and colleagues?
Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of my home life, always supported by my family, definitely. You know, friends have kept me sane at times. We're an eclectic bunch of girls, I've got to say. But, you know, we keep each other grounded and remind ourselves what's important. Yeah. You know, from a work point of view, I have in the main always felt supported. I mean, don't get me wrong, and you know, for anybody watching this, there are times in your career where you won't feel as supported as others. There will be times in your careers where there will be either a line manager or stakeholders that are difficult to deal with. But how you use your wider network of stakeholders or your mentors to help you sound off and work out how to best tackle that is important, because, you know, life's not rosy and there will always be difficult times that we've got to deal with, as much as we would like to think that we're being supported all of the time.
Definitely. And I think that's important in like kind of any role. It doesn't matter if you're in a senior role or just starting off, anyone can feel like that, and it is just, like you say, tackling through and just getting to work in a way where you can all work together, and there's loads of support around, so hopefully there is. Perfect. So as a mother, wife, leader, how do you get to balance your personal and professional life?
So I'm not great at this all of the time. So sometimes you know, work will take up a good chunk of my time, but you know, I've got a great boss who makes sure and encourages us to ensure that we have the right work-life balance, and I think that's really, really valuable. We've already talked about it. Holidays are important for me, so planning time, planning downtime with Mia and with my husband and my wider family is important. Mum and sister and me are going away this weekend for a little girly weekend, which we've not done for a long time.
Love that.
So I think it's just important to make sure that you try and plan ahead downtime to be present with your family, because dependent on the sort of work environment you're in, whether you're full-time or you're part-time, it can be a little bit more difficult to juggle. But it's okay, you've just got to try and be effective with your planning, and it can all work well.
Definitely. And that is a big, for me, going from part-time to full-time, that was a big transition for me. And I was a bit like, how am I going to fit it all in? And it was just a bit like me and Rob used to just passing ships. We were literally passing ships. But now I do exactly the same. I think it's nice to plan things and just look forward to things. And the kids, they're old enough now to know that obviously we're all working, and it's to get these nice holidays and to achieve these success.
Nice things, I think it's really important for me that kids see their parents working hard at whatever their goals are, whether that is a mum that chooses to be a stay-at-home mum, or the same for a dad, or whether they're working full-time, part-time. I think it's good for them to learn from their parents and to build their resilience, as I say. And when I talk about planning things in advance, it doesn't have to be something big.
No.
It can be going to the movies on a Friday night, or working out a new box set that me and Mia are going to watch together.
This is it.
And we watched 2 of them last night, and
Mum,
make sure you don't watch another one until we're together again. And we promise ourselves we won't, as much as I'm itching to get it.
You're going to have to tell which box set, because Poppy does this with me.
But those are the kind of, so as I say, it's not the big things. It's not about spending lots of money. We're in still in a cost of living crisis. It's about being present and finding ways to plan. It might only be an hour, but it's just an hour of being present.
100% agree. That is, really, really important. And how do you manage stress and avoid burnout whilst maintaining your resilience in your career? That's quite a good question.
Yeah, it is a good question, and I think I'm sure you're getting a whole range of different answers when you're speaking to other ladies. But for me, mindset is a really key part of this, and really switching those challenging times into opportunities. So by looking at how can this challenging time or the headwinds that I'm facing into, which means that I'm at risk of burnout because I'm having to find 6th gear and put 150% into problem solving, switching it and switching your mindset into what am I going to achieve by doing this? What's the sense of accomplishment? How is it going to better the colleagues that are working on this challenge? And we start to think about the positive outcomes that we're gonna get from facing into this moment in time. And it's amazing what momentum you can get behind things, and positive momentum you can get behind it, with people enthusiastic to want to get through it because of the satisfaction they see at the end. So I do think switching our mindsets when we are in those tough spaces and taking the time to really think about that is important. Otherwise, I think burnout comes because we keep fighting along the track with not really being clear about how do we get out of the other side. So slowing down to speed back up again, recentering our purpose can help gain positive momentum and actually some really great outcomes at the end of it, and a sense of accomplishment. Yeah,
I love that answer. That is a really good way to look at it, and it absolutely makes sense. So love that. And what are the most important lessons that you've learned throughout your career?
I think there's a few. Being authentic. So learning and understanding who you are and defining what that is, that for me has been something that has come with time, but has definitely helped me as I've moved through my career in terms of being able to provide clarity to new teams about who I am, what I stand for, what good looks like for me, giving colleagues lots of support, but also balancing it with challenge. So being authentic, being your true self, sort of describing who you are, and then behaving in that way so that words and figures or words and behaviour, should I say, match. That for me is a real game changer and really helps you become a credible leader. And then the other thing is being calm. So listening, taking stock and reflecting, not reacting in the moment. That becomes easier for some than others, particularly depending on the stress levels that we might have got going on, whether that's at home or in work. But I think just being really calm is important to settle your teams, if you've got teams that are working with you, and to help you make considered decisions to help move you and your team forward with any business priorities that you've got. And then the other one is don't guess, and I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier.
Find out the answer.
Find out the answer. It's okay to say I don't know. Don't fill the voids with guesses or assumptions.
I totally agree.
Because all that hard work you put into building your credibility can be undone very, very quickly. Should you take that route? So that's another one for me. And it's okay to say you don't know.
We'll find out and come back.
I say it quite a lot. 28 years on, but I still say it quite a lot. And then the last one, I think I said that one was going to be the other one that's just come back to my mind again, is stakeholders. So try and be as broad as you can, irrespective of what the role is you've got. Another really important thing that I've learned through my career is your stakeholder network is just as important as your inner network. So whether that's the team you work within, that you're responsible for, your peer network, but the stakeholder network that you have can really, really help make those challenging priorities that you've got far easier, because they might have got the technical SME inputs, for example, that you need to help deliver a business objective. So I think making sure that you look after your stakeholder networks as much as your peers and your direct teams is really important.
Yeah, and I think that's great advice. And just touching on that about being authentic, when I first came to this job, I had to speak to a lot of like CEOs and COOs, and I was a bit like, I was a bit worried about speaking to them. But you know what? A lot of people I speak to, they are so authentic, and they're just us. We're all
normal people. We all wake up in the morning, get dressed and go to work or go to...
We all like to go on holiday. We all like to like spend time with the family. And that's what now relaxes me when speaking to these people, because it's just everyone's just taking different paths within their career, but they're all just human at the end of the day, which is just lovely. And people are very open about talking about that and talking about the family and talking about the life. So it's nice. It's really refreshing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think the more people do that and bring the whole selves to work, that includes the family, then I think it helps, build deeper connections, more trust.
Totally.
And creates a safe space where we can kind of feel more comfortable being our real selves, because everybody's doing the same rather than only bringing part of the selves to work.
Absolutely. And you spend a lot of time at work, right?
We spend a lot of time at work. Yeah, we spend a lot of time at work. We need to enjoy it whilst we're there.
Exactly. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so how do you define success both professionally and personally?
So, I guess for me, in some ways, the two roll together. So from a personal perspective, it's living with good health, with integrity, which we've talked about a little bit, and balance. And as I say, there's times where I might not get the balance always right, but I do try hard. And from a professional perspective, success for me is seeing others reach their full potential, as I've already talked about, whilst delivering really good outcomes for customers and for the business. And how do I measure that? I measure it by those outcomes from a professional perspective, and I also measure it by engagement. So how engaged and motivated are my team, and then from a personal perspective, it's, have I got a happy family at home? Yeah,
definitely. This is it. And I'm sure Mia will remind you, like my kids do, if I'm working too hard, I'm doing it, and they will tell me. I'm sure they do the same. So you just have to keep having check-ins, I suppose, sometimes as well. But yeah, that absolutely makes sense. Definitely. And what's next for you?
So, I've still got another good few runs within my career. So I'm on a journey just about to start the next chapter within my professional career. So if you were to ask me this question in a couple more weeks, we might be able to talk a little bit more about it. But, we've talked about being brave around sort of, exploring new opportunities, talking them through until you can get to a place where you're confident with the next thing that it is you might want to be doing. But we're in the next stage of the journey.
Brilliant. And it's just, I suppose, if an opportunity comes, like you say, just looking at it and just thinking, is this the right opportunity for me, and grabbing it with both hands, really.
Yeah,
if it is.
Absolutely. And the role that I do now, I thoroughly love. It's a smashing organisation. Really, really proud of where I work. I've got a great boss, and we've built a great team. But there are times when you've got to make decisions about what's best next for you with your own personal career. And I'm just in that transition stage at the moment.
Yeah, brilliant. Exciting to find out more. And then this is I suppose this is a little question at the end. Poppy is 14, my Poppy, and she's just about to choose options and go through her exams. So what bit of advice would you give to her for the next generation coming into business?
So again, we touched on it a little earlier. Just work hard, pick the subjects that you enjoy, not the ones that you think you should do.
Yeah.
And, you know, have fun along the way. So I think it's important for kids to have a balance with their friends, with their family, whilst working hard at school. And I don't think one outweighs the other for me.
No.
All three of those. But, you know, some kids are stronger in some subjects than others. And it's, you know, for me, it's okay. Just work hard. Do the best that you can.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm sure she's going to, you know, do wonderfully well.
Hopefully so. And she might go our way, where we just go into a career that we never planned.
Good luck to Poppy and this
you.
next phase of GCSEs for her.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much for letting me interview you today for this International Women's Day.
You're welcome. It's been good to see you.
Oh, and you, thank you.